Welcome back, blade fans and blade aficionados everywhere. OG Blade Reviews is with you, and here's the reveal on a box that a wonderful knife came in that was sent my way by none other than Michael Grasso, a relatively new knife maker, although he started making knives in 2019. Out of his home in New Milford, Connecticut. And he's a veritable neighbor of mine. I didn't even know it. We live in the same state, okay? And yeah, I'm a Northern Yankee, but wasn't always. What can I tell you? Been here for a while. But Michael is a former firefighter, 14-year veteran. He unfortunately needed to retire with a medical retirement due to some issues he had. And later on, he got COVID. And man, this guy has been through a lot. He is in his late 30s, according to a bio I read in a local newspaper. They did a great article on him. And I'm going to make sure you've got links to his website, etc., etc. But Michael Grasso is the custom knife maker associated with his business, Armis Knife and Tool. Remember that name. And I'm going to show you the contents of the box in a moment, but first we've got to show you the knife, certainly and foremost. This particular model he sent for review is the VSK1. There is also a smaller version of this knife. This is a full size, I would call it, defensive knife. Rather than everyday carry, Bob DeMarco and others have begun using the term EDD, not ED, guys, but everyday defensive knife. And I think that came out of the guys at Fisher Knife with regards to some of their offerings lately. I had requested this particular sheath when he said he would be sending a knife my way. This is his topo or topographical, kind of a topographical map pattern, really cool. Black on the other side. And this looks familiar to you. A number of knife companies are going this way with what the Filipinos call a bird's beak. It almost looks like a bird with the eye and the beak. Let's get it out of there. It is in a full deep carry sheath with a Tracker Dan style clip attachment on the in the center line, and this is a bona fide DCC clip. You can see the embossed logo there for DCC. So we've got some good equipment coming up here already, and there is the VSK1. He's got a heavy, kind of a black, dark stonewash. I'm not sure of the finish. It's the only thing I don't know. He makes all his knives in AEBL, and he heat treats all his own knives. And these are all hand ground. I believe he says he sends them out to be blank, but all the other work is done by him. And a very familiar sort of profile. I'm going to do a compare in a little bit with some others. This is familiar to me, particularly in the handle profile. But let me tell you something. What a fit. And I've got to say it's a fit for me. May not be a fit for you. If you've got extra large hands, this one might be a little tight for you. I've got medium large hands. Keep talking about that. The left is actually a little bigger than the right, but yeah, what am I coming in at? About 4 inches. Yeah, a little under, a little over. Across the knuckles, about 4 inches. Just so you get an idea of where your hand might fit or how it might fit on this beautiful fixed blade. There is some microfine file-like jimping that is coarse, but because it's fine, it doesn't chew your thumb up. You absolutely stick to this jimping on this thumb ramp. So if you choose to hold it this way, there's a perfect kind of angular cross palm saber grip. you can get this nicely into hammer grip. We're going to measure it up in a moment. It's about a 4-inch blade, roughly, maybe a little bit more. On this one, he used some Coyote Tan G10. It is rock patterned. You have an option of using a smooth pattern as well. I'll just show you, since I'm discussing that, some of the models that Michael makes available and has as his regular models. And he's only about 3 weeks out currently on his knife making. So if you order it, it won't take you long at all to get one. And so here we have, he actually makes a sheath for your standard, like Henkel's paring knife. That's a cool thing. This is his camp and chef knife. Notice the price is very reasonable when it comes to many of the other knife makers. We got the VSK1. That's the one I'm showing you on the table right now. That's with the flat plain handle. There's the mini VSK with a shorter blade. It's about a 3-inch blade, I believe. There is his EDK everyday knife. Again, around $250. Here's his karambite, where he has a ring on the knife, very similar to some other offerings you see from like Compliance Edge and so forth. And I'm going to show you some for comparison. Here's his karambite 2. Looks like it's a bit bigger. And here's his deep pocket carry sheaths, and they definitely can be carried. He sent me one of these, which I'll show you too, which is the Sharp E. And that is, looks like a Sharpie pen, but has a hard G10 point for covert, non-permissive environment defense. And he does make training blades, folks. Yes, he does. And here's some other stuff, and shows you he does make custom knives. Going to cost you a bit more, obviously, if he goes by your design. You'll have all the links to get to Michael's website in the description of this video. Great job on the sheath. We've got 1/2 of a Velcro in here, the woolly part of the Velcro. Not sure how well you can see that. That is what gives you that absolute retention and zero rattle. 0, 0, 0. Hook this with your finger, comes right out. When it's in the hand, it is locked in. Let me tell you, locked in. If you like to use the Filipino thumb grip on the back, I know a lot of you aren't familiar with that term and saying, what the hell is a Filipino thumb? Well, it just means laying your thumb on the back for this, you know, to be able to reinforce your cuts. We've got a beautiful, I'm calling it an arrow point, triangular shaped blade with a little bit of a belly here. Love the rock pattern. And we've got some nice thick stock on the blade. Looking for that word, stock. 8 inches. We're going to call that right to the pommel, to that bird's beak. And 3 3/4 inch blade to that point. But that is really not the true story. We've got a little bit more. We got about 3 3/4 sharpened edge and 4 inches if you go right down to the heel of the blade, and actually a little more up top. So to here, 3 3/4. If you want to use that as your measure, I usually tend to. So the nice thing is, under 4 inches, this is a legal blade. It is in my state. We have to be under 4 sharpened inches, and this is under 4 sharpened inches at 3 3/4. Thickness in millimeters, blade stock, 4 millimeters. Easy to measure it on this one, 0.16 inches. And a nice robust handle at 0.59. I'm measuring it at the high points on the rock pattern. You probably have somewhat slimmer handle if you order the smooth. I'm not sure if Michael goes with a little more thickness here, but that's fine. It feels great in my hand. I like a little bit more handle. Pical, if I didn't already show you, is absolutely perfect. I mean, you got that platform for your thumb there. And that brings to mind some other knives of similar ilk. How about TKIL Agent 001, collaboration between Bob the Knife Junkie DeMarco and Tim Kell of TKIL Knives. Exactly the same length. And I would say just ever so slightly shorter in blade length, very slightly shorter. What else have we got? Well, here's the knife that the VSK1 reminded me of right off the bat. And before you say copy, 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 there's a lot of them out there with this profile, with that arrow point sort of profile. But that's what we got going here on the Carl from Auxiliary Manufacturing, Michael Jarvis, another Michael knife maker, and another hand ground blade. That is happening still. Here we have a CNC'd blade from Compliance Edge, and a very similar profile as well. We got the heavy jimping on the pommel there. We've got heavy jimping here. That's the difference. Michael's using a fine, grippy jimping on his, and Compliance Edge is using those big grooves on this particular model. By the way, Michael makes a ringed version, if I didn't show you that already. That's his Karambite. And so does Compliance Edge. Here we've got a sharpened top edge. I think there are two versions on this is the DCK. The DCK has both a sharpened top edge, or you can get it as an option with an unsharpened swedge. And just want to put one more out here because amongst production knives, this Viper Handy is one of my favorites. It's a much shorter knife overall by about 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches. It's got about a 3/4 inch shorter blade, but I love the ergos on this knife. This one happens to be an Ultim. They make a variety of natural woods and G10s and carbon fibers. I've got one in fat carbon fiber. It's beautiful. But this to me is the epitome of knife handle. I'm still going to do something on knife handles and the grips for knife handles. As you can see, it's weight relieved, okay? So it is so neutral. I don't want to get too into other brands of knives here. We're really talking about Michael Grasso's knives, but I do like this, and I always like to show it when I have the opportunity. Tapered tang to reduce weight in the handle, and weight relieving in the handle reduces the overall weight and changes the balance. This one's in MagnaCut. I did mention that Michael's blades are in AEBL, and I don't have a Rockwell hardness. He can chime in with a comment. I might have missed it on the website, but I believe that is a big factor for him, is to properly heat treat his knives. He says it takes him a long time to heat treat his own blades. Again, the only thing that's being done out of house is the profiling of the blade, the blanks. He gets the blanks, and the rest of the work is him. The handles are him, and the final finishing is him, hardening and the grinding. Where's the balance on this baby? Well, right about where it should be, as I believe I tested earlier. Look at that. Whoop, wanted to slide off. It's a balancing act. Life is a balancing act. Right there. So almost dead center on that front finger groove. The finger groove, you can look at it and say, I may not be able to squeeze my fingers in there, but we've got a lot of knife handles that are made this way. We have a similar thing going on here with the Carl, as you can see. A big front finger groove right? A little more so here, and a little more of a geometric design here, a little more rounded on the Carl. Generally a little more smooth and rounded over on the Carl, and a little more radiusing here. But we have that familiar rock pattern going on as well. With the T-Cal, we got the bullet grips. I believe that's what they're called. I'm still up on that. Whereas this is giving you the extra grip. The flats are fairly smooth, and we've got the lashing screws. Speaking of that, we have, not sure what the Torx is on this. Looks like about a 15 or so in that range. But you can remove the grips as far as I know. I don't believe they're glued on. So you've got that option of perhaps getting some grips and changing them out, or doing your own custom grips. The heavy stonewash here, I think, will really add in the longevity of the finish of the knife. You're not really you can use this knife and it isn't gonna look like you wore it out yet, because it's got that pre-distressed sort of look, is what I call it. And sheaths, remarkable sheaths. It gets about $50 for the sheath only, but the sheath, if you order it with the knife, comes with the knife, as far as I know. I keep saying as far as I know because I don't want to say something that's untrue. Got lots of small grommets here, probably not enough to attach any other form of clip-on. You usually do see that with these pouch-style deep pocket carry sheaths. Nice thick Kydex, and again, excellent retention. And it is ambi, okay? It goes in either way. So you put it on in your right pocket, you put it in your left pocket, turn the knife around, doesn't matter. If you choose to use these and put some maybe fine paracord through there, some 150 line, you can hang it upside down inside a jacket, what have you. I think it's a little heavy for a neck knife. But did we get a weight? Oh my God. Did we get a weight? We didn't get a weight. We'll have to splice this in somewhere. 7.44 with the sheath, and 5.43 without the sheath. That's not bad. That really isn't bad at all. If I take the Carl over here, well, it's only slightly lighter, 5.1 and 5.4, okay? With the Agent 001 being 5.4. So for a knife with not as tall a handle, it still carries some weight. All right, let's get the right knives back in the scene. Right knife. Contents of the box real quick. Mike gives a bunch of patches here, and the QR code here, I believe, will bring you to his website. There's his website, should you want to order up. And I certainly would if I didn't have one already. No touch knife. I like that Control-Alt knife. And there's his official right there. He did give me one of the Sharpies. So kind of a bonus here on this review is this Sharpie. That's G10. And a little fragment hanging off there. Oh yes, definitely an attention getter in the non-permissive environments. Looks just like a Sharpie without the lettering, of course. But yeah, I can see myself using that in a pinch for sure. Nice box. Got the same kind of shred packing material that we see in auxiliary that I'm familiar with. But there you have it. The VSK1 from Armis Knife and Tool, Michael Grasso. Go check him out. Definitely worth your while. And you know, he's coming in a good 100 under some similar knives with similar materials and workmanship. Be well, take care. Right now you're going to see my logo over here. Click on that if you haven't subscribed already, and you will be able to subscribe and get notified every time there's a new video dropping. Be well.